Hey, happy Wednesday. This is the live recording of episode 57 of the Client by Client podcast. If you have been here before, drop me some emojis. If you're a first time offender, drop me some number ones. Would love to welcome you and say hello. Today, we're talking about 5 mistakes that are costing you clients every single month. And by the end of today's episode, you're going to have 1, 2, 3, or 4 things that you can eradicate, eliminate, or switch so that you can replace it with a client producing activity so that we can all waste less time, have more clients, and have more money every single month. So whether you are here watching live or in the replay, give me some smile emojis. Let me know what's up. And we're going to hop in here and bring this to life. Today on the podcast, I had a special episode called It All Starts With This. We went deep on today's. We got a little spiritual, so be sure to tune in for that one. And then yesterday's episode, we talked about how to overcome a dry spell, which is going to be for you if it's been a little over a couple weeks since you had your last client. There's some ideas in there for how to turn it around and what I do when a dry spell happens and what I tell my clients to do if they ever feel like a dry spell is happening or they reached out a little too late and they're in the midst of a dry spell. That said, the cold brew burp out of the way, let's hop in and let's do this. Hey, what's up? Jeremy here from whatupjeremy.com, back with another episode of Client by Client. Thank you so much for tuning in. In the last episode, we talked about follow-up, and I gave you 4 ideas for how follow-up might be going wrong, some ways to pinpoint if it's going right, and some things that you can just stop doing and some ideas to replace it with. So if you have leads in right now and you have conversations going on, and you feel weird following up, you hesitate to follow up, you resist it, or your follow-up just isn't directly yielding you in new clients and revenue, be sure to track over to episode 56 so that you can have a more holistic view of follow-up, so that you can hear a couple of the tips I have and be reminded of a thing or two that you've heard before that maybe you just stopped doing in the past. In today's episode, I want to talk about 5 mistakes that are costing you clients every month. These are things that I've heard over the last couple years on strategy sessions when we were doing sales calls. I hear these in my DMs. I get a lot of comments from my students that will then lead to me saying, okay, we can just stop doing that thing that's costing you clients, or we can replace that with something else. And so there's going to be a thing or two on here that you've probably heard before. Those are going to be your reminders. There's going to be an idea or 2, or maybe even 3 that are going to serve as the reason why you listen through to this whole episode and end up becoming the reasons why you make a couple more dollars, maybe a couple more $1,000, and end up with a couple more clients every month than you currently might be ending every month with. If you don't get today's episode right, 2 things happen. First is that you have leads, but you don't ever have as many clients as you would like. It gets really hard to hit that 15K a month mark. And when that happens, your revenue stays low. And then you're also experiencing those ups and downs. And those ups and downs in online coaching are so emotionally and spiritually draining. It feels like you just got done with your hardest workout of all time. You need to go take a nap. And so now you're leaving important things that need to get done in your business. You know, they're not happening. You're leaving them to chance. You're delaying them, wasting a bunch of time. And so the first thing that happens, revenue stays low, and you start to experience those ups and downs, which are spiritually draining, that make it really hard for you to show up with full energy for the rest of the day, for the next day, and throughout the current week. The second thing that happens is that your cash reserves start to run low, or they run lower than they already are, and then you resort to chasing shiny objects. You think that you need to implement ads. You think that it's got to be something on your website. It's got to be your landing page. It's got to be something that some other coach is doing that you got to do now too, even though they're hundreds of thousands of dollars per month, if not tens of thousands of revenue ahead of you. And so that's frustrating because it leads you nowhere. It leads you to more lost time. It leads you to more lost money. And then on top of that, you lost opportunities that are now costing you even more clients. So those are the 2 things that happens if you don't get today's episode right. Now let's talk about the 5 mistakes that are costing you clients every single month. The first mistake that's costing you clients every month is that you are not visible, or you're not visible enough. So what this looks like is I go to your Instagram, and that little ring around your story that shows that you've been active, it's active sometimes throughout the week, but not entirely active. And then when you are posting stuff, you don't really know what to do to actually show your expertise and to get people from turning into looky-loos and to turn the looky-loos who are just watching your story into the people who are actually becoming paying clients. And so the first thing that we have to start doing is we have to get more visible. We have to create a daily routine of you putting out your face, your voice, and your expertise to be in front of your target market. The lowest barrier to all of this, in my opinion, is the story. Now, in my background and in my experience, public speaking has been a big part of that. I was not good at that at first. Although I was outspoken, I was never really good at public speaking. I got good at it in high school and I shined up that skill. So it's easy for me to say, let's go on story and do a 1-2 minute story every single day. For you, it might not be as easy. And so what's important for you is that you got to get good at public speaking and being on camera. But if that's not the easiest form of content for you, then find that easiest form and get consistent. For me, this starts with and has started with a day-by-day basis. Let me not worry about tomorrow. Let me worry about right now. Can I record a 1-minute story? Okay, sure. Do I know what I'm going to record? No. So then you're going to solve it. What am I going to talk about? You can think about if you had recent client strategy sessions and sales calls, what emerged on those calls that pissed you off, that made you frustrated, that was a problem that that client was experiencing without directly referring to that client or mentioning their name in said content, in said story. You can think through recent follow-ups. You can think through things that you're learning, that you're implementing, that are going on in your business. You can then, if you don't have any of those current events going on, then you can think about the chasm. We talked about the cliff, right? Your client's on the left side of the cliff as the prospect, and on the other side of the cliff is everything they want and aspire and deserve. And in between there is this big drop, and that's where you come in, and that's why people hire coaches. So you need to talk about that gap. You need to talk about where they're at right now and what happens if they don't take action, their pains and problems. And then you need to talk about the other side. Once they handle everything they need to, what are their immediate wants, and then what are their future aspirations? And when you can talk to those two extreme opposites, there's this whole middle area that becomes apparent. And when you do a good job of highlighting that difference, that's that gap that people need to close now through watching more of your content and through reaching out. If right now you don't know what the hell to do, go record a 1-minute story. Think through previous sales calls, recent client interactions, recent prospect interactions, and then you can think through things you're going on in your own business to talk about, or you can think about the pains and problems that your market has. Those are 3 or 4 really good options of things to be talking about every single day. Pick one of those, pull out your phone, record a 1-minute story, get that up there on your story. You have to get visible. If that's not easy for you, maybe it is a photo with a written caption. Maybe you design a graphic. Whatever the case, keep it simple and do it. Get it done today. Tomorrow, prioritize that at the start of your day so that you can start to get more visible. As you start to do that and it gets easier for you to start putting that content out and for that visibility to be the standard, now you can start to think about tomorrow and the day after and the next week. Here's what I'm going to do for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then eventually you're thinking about next month. You're thinking about your entire next week's already booked. So you need to move things around in order to get them in for your visibility. The first mistake that's costing you clients every single week and every single month is that you're not visible or you're not consistently visible enough. You have to turn on the lights in your business and tell people that you're open for business every single day. No one's going to do it for you. No one's going to come and say, I want to be your client. You need to be getting out there, and people need to be seeing your face, and they need to be hearing about the pains and problems that you're here to solve, which are hopefully also that prospect's pains and problems. The first thing you have to do is you have to start getting more visible and get more visible consistently. Hey, Jesus, what's up, brother? Great to see you in here, my man. I appreciate you. And for being here, hanging out with us means a whole lot. So let's show Jesus some love. Really appreciate that, brother. Second, all comes down to how you manage your pipeline. And too many of you aren't managing it at all. You think your pipeline is some esoteric thing that the clients come through. And I'm going to tell you that it's a very close to being a physical thing. And you should be able to go to it by opening up your CRM. And inside of there, every prospect should have a date attached to them, a next very clear action step attached to them, and then a strategy that you do to move them across your CRM to get them from conversation into warm lead, into actually booking the call and then getting the money. And if you aren't managing it like that, then you're missing out on a huge step. This really should be you aren't managing your pipeline, but I'm trying to make this as catered to coaches who are experienced as possible. And so what that means is you aren't managing it well enough. You are prioritizing other things versus your money-making tasks. And the biggest tell of this is that you're working on things before you get into your CRM. Your CRM and your pipeline are the most important assets to your business. I would dare put them above anything else. And the reason I say that is because there are coaches running circles around you who don't have websites, don't have podcasts. They do not have personal brands. They don't have email lists. They don't have anything, and they're running circles around you. And the way they're doing this is on a person by person, prospect by prospect, client by client method. And so they don't need all of those things because they have the only skill they need. They have a great offer and they're managing their pipeline. So you need to be starting your day out inside of your CRM, inside of your pipeline, and touching each of those prospects that you have to start engineering and finding ideas for how you're going to follow up, what you're going to do, what's the strategy, what needs to be sent to this individual human being in order for them to take the next action. Very few of your clients are ever going to go from just finding you to handing you $3, $4, $10,000. The majority of them are going to have to go through stages. Sometimes those stages happen in the matter of a week or 2 weeks or in the matter of a day. But very little to less than 1% of your clients that come your way over your career are going to be ones that just find you and hand you their money. That means that you need to understand the stages your prospects go through. You need to understand the questions that they have about you and about the problems that you solve and the solution that you have for those problems. And you need to start plugging those into your content and into your visibility so that you can start entering the conversation going on in their mind, starting with pains and problems, and then starting to drip in results of your previous students, results that you've had, about your methods, about things that you've now coined that you came up with, about strategies, about frameworks. And when you start to do this, and you're doing this from the CRM first, now you're going to have the recipe for getting inside of your target market's mind, starting with people who potentially might hand you money. And so if you're prioritizing content, client delivery, and other things over your CRM, that's a major tell for where your revenue is and that you're leaving clients on the table and that you're losing money every month. You have to be managing your pipeline and your deal flow. And what this starts with, if money is a top thing and important to you right now, that means starting with your CRM. As a majority of you know, I created a free CRM that helps you get leads and turn them into clients in half the time. So if you are either paying for a CRM and you're not using it, or you don't have a CRM, a customer relationship management tool, then I want you to find me on Instagram and send me the letters CRM to get your copy while it's still free. Thing number 3, you are not tracking enough of the metrics that matter. You need to be tracking the things that actually drive revenue in your business. Yes, you should be tracking content that you put out there. Yes, you should be tracking a ton of different things in your business. You should be tracking your social media audience count and those sorts of things. But what's more important than any of those is how many chats are you starting? How many conversations are getting started by you manually or by your content every single day? How many of those chats are turning into leads where you move them from in your CRM from the area of your chat starts inbox into warm, where you can actually, they have the problem that you can solve. It's just a matter of now having the right conversation with them to get them to actually book the call and become the client. You have to track what matters. Conversation starts. How many of those conversations turn into actual leads? How many of those leads did you make an offer for them to book a call? And then how many of them took it? And then how many of them showed up to the actual call? How many of them took you up on your offer at the end of it? You need to be understanding that's your actual pipeline and your actual funnel. And so a couple other metrics that matter along this way is how many offers you're making. You don't need to go through all of those steps in order to make someone an offer. This could also be how many invitations you're sending out to be joining your Facebook group, to be listening to your podcast, to be having a call and a conversation with you, getting a lead magnet, which takes us to hand raisers. How many times a week are you on your Facebook profile, on your Instagram, on your story, through email, through wherever you're posting and where there's ever have the chance of real human beings looking at it? How many times are you putting out offers that are interest generators, that are hand raisers, where you're saying, I have this thing, would you like it? For instance, a second ago I said, if you don't have a CRM, find me on Instagram and send me the letters CRM. And just about every day or every other day, one of you guys from this show, from this live, from my email list, from my Instagram will message me those letters and reply back with CRM. And then I get you your copy of the CRM. That for me is a conversation started. That's not a lead. That's a conversation started. So when that goes out in my email, or I say it on my story, or I say it in the show, that for me is a little tick mark on making offers, on hand-raising posts and hand-raising content. I do not know how many of you are going to hear this episode over the next 5 years, but that little one plug on this one little episode could call for maybe 10 of you guys to identify yourself as conversation starts and as wanting the CRM, and then maybe 2 or 3 of you guys become clients over the following 2 years because you're starting to get my emails, you're following more closely. Maybe you implemented my CRM and you're just solid as a coach. And just in that process, you got a client from it. Maybe not from any one thing I told you, but you started to get in the mode of attracting money and having the right thoughts and being in your CRM, sending out the right signals to the universe and to your subconscious. And then you took an action that got you a client and you're like, wow, this is free. What will this paid stuff do? These are the sort of conversations you also want going on in the markets of in the minds of your prospects, in the minds of your market. In order to do that, you need to be putting out hand-raising content. And you might have put something out today, but what about tomorrow? What about later this afternoon? What about next week? It's important that you're every single day putting out hand-raising content and that you're tracking it. You cannot control how many people will respond to your hand-raising content. All you can control is sitting down and creating it, trying to tweak it to make it as best as you can, posting it, and then you're going to use that as market feedback of it was good or not. Now, I'm not over your shoulder right now to give you feedback. We do this for our Get Clients members before they post their hand raisers. We'll have them post them in the group or share them on our call so that we can unpack it and pull it apart and put it back together so that it pulls more leads and more conversations in. So whether it's me or someone else, also get around a coach who can help you to look at these things, who can help you to write better copy, who can give you constructive feedback and friendly feedback around your copy so that it can be better and so that you get better as a marketer. You have to be a marketer first before you can be a successful coach. And too many of you guys are resistant to that thought because you think that marketing is synonymous with sales. Like, I can't even talk, because you think that marketing is synonymous with being a sleazy salesperson when it's not. When you make offers, you have the chance to change someone's life. So it's important that we get the right thoughts in place so that we can take the right actions. And the way that starts with is tracking the right actions that matter. I'm going to say it again. You cannot control how many leads come your way, how many chats get started, how many clients sign up, but you can control your actions. You can control how many chats you're manually going out and starting. You can control how many times you're following up with an offer. You can control how many times you invite people to your email list, to your Facebook group, to your podcast, to being a friend on Facebook. When you start to monitor the things that you can control, the end results and the outcomes that you can't control, they start to tend to work better and you start to get more data, and it validates you sitting down and tracking the things that do matter. The thing that's costing you a lot of clients right now every single month is that you are not tracking enough of the metrics that do matter. So if you need more clarity around the metrics that do matter, then you're going to want to tune in to episode 49 where we talk about money now tasks. And that's going to help you to get really clear on the things you're going to do daily that are going to drive money so that you can cut everything else away, even if just temporarily, so you can actually bring some money in. As an aside, for you watching this live stream right now, that episode goes live tomorrow. Tomorrow is Money Now Tasks. And then on Friday, that episode is Money Later Tasks. So a little aside for you watching here live is that's episode 49 and episode 50. Thing number 4, building off of that, you're not starting enough conversations. You got into coaching because you were probably inspired by a coach who's already doing well over 50K a month. They have teams, they have systems, they have ads, they have great looking websites and sales pages with dozens of client testimonials, dozens of other authorities in the space giving them accolades and testimonials. And you don't have that right now because you're just getting started or because you haven't put in that time yet. That's okay. Whatever the case, one of the things that you don't want to take from that big box coach and implement it into your view of online coaching and what it looks like to drive, run, and own and build an online coaching business is that that coach already has a ton of passive traffic coming their way. They have partners who email out for them that send them traffic. They have an ads specialist running their ads every single day with hundreds, if not thousands of dollars every single day that is generating new leads and conversations for them. They have a podcast, they have a YouTube channel, they have a social media account with hundreds of thousands of eyeballs of real human beings watching it and paying attention to it. But right now you don't. So what you can't be is passive when it comes to getting clients. That means that it's not enough to just put out content and look like that coach and to look like you have the authority and have the good website and you have the show and the good branding and everything's well thought out. You can do all of that and not have any clients. And this happens so much that it breaks my heart. And I fell victim to this about 5 or 6 years ago and thinking that online coaching was a lot easier than it actually is. With enough time and enough focus on the right things like building your authority, it can get easier for you to run your online coaching business. And if you stick with it long enough by doing the right things in the right order at the right time for enough time, and then building systems and building teams for those things to happen on their own, you will make it to a point where when you wake up, you'll have new clients who just signed up and money in the bank account, and you won't even know those people's names. You won't have ever even have personally talked to them. But in between that day and right now is a lot of manual work and a lot of manually starting conversations. So this means that there is a passive part of the driving conversations and the starts of them, like putting out hand-raising posts, like putting out public invitations on your story, in your content, on your email list, in your group, that invite people to join all of the other things that you do, like your email list, and to also become a client. But what that also means is that you drive those people, that you start conversations manually to your warm market, and that when people ask for your podcast, your tools, your assets, your PDFs, your checklists, your trainings, details on your program, details on booking a call, that you don't just give them those things and walk away, that you give them those things and you follow up the next day and say, are you looking for some help? Hey, yesterday you asked for this thing. Did you know I have a group with almost 1,000 coaches in it called the Leverage Coach Community? And I put resources in there every single week to help you grow your business. I'd love to have you in. Let me know if you're open to joining. I can send you an invite. Now you just got someone who raised their hand for a little stupid checklist that they could have gotten anywhere else that they aren't going to open in the first place. Now they're joining your group and answering the 3 questions that you have on there. They've now given you their good email, and they've asked a question, and maybe they even put the word maybe in for if you would like some help. And so that person went from asking for a checklist to now in your group, watching your trainings, looking at you on your stage and looking at your authority and thinking in their head, not can this guy help me? Not can this person help me? They could help me. Should I reach out? It's a whole different conversation. And now when that's happening and you actually reach out to them because they joined your group, they went from Instagram in this example, they went from Instagram conversation to over to Facebook, joining your group and seeing you and joining your stage, joining your special room and answering your questions that you've engineered. And now you start a convo through Messenger where they don't do a lot of business, where it isn't optimized for there. And you say, hey, great to see you over here, because they came from Instagram. You're in the group now, also saw that you might be interested in some help. Can I ask you a couple questions here in chat to see if I can help you? And then they're like, dude, I'm loving the group. I'm loving your resources. That I actually went to the checklist, or they divulge on the sales call. They didn't even go through the checklist. Because everyone, every one of your prospects has a whole downloads folder full of lead magnets. But what they don't have is someone that they can relate to, someone that they're comfortable with and already chatting with, someone who's showing their expertise like you, who's actively having a conversation with them about potentially working together. Chances are, if someone in your market that already knows you is looking for a coach, they're probably not considering you. They're probably considering the big box coach like you did. They're considering the big player in their space. Or if that big player in their space ran an ad and it happened to get in front of them, they're probably going to fall into their sales funnel very quickly. And they're going to feel like that person was reading their mind. But when you minimize the time to respond, you send out more invitations, you offer more personal help, and you're there to actually talk with that person on that sales call. When you ask them, because you should be in the very beginning, when you say why now and why me, they're going to say, well, to be honest, I was thinking about joining this person's program. Or to be honest, Brendan Bouchard has this thing going on, but I thought I'd give you the chance because we were having an actual conversation already. And when you can dive deeper into their problems than Brendan's little system ever could, even though it's automated and pulls way more than you can probably fathom, when you're the person having that conversation with them and you make them the right offer, and you don't blow it by saying the wrong thing because you're listening more than you're talking. And when you talk, you're asking questions to clarify that you're hearing them correctly. Now you have the recipe for getting the client. That all starts with more chat, more conversation starts. It's not enough to just post content and put a podcast out there and be pretty or be handsome and to put that stuff out there. That will only get you so far. That will get you to the 3 to 5K. When you want to be talking about 15K every month, it's not enough anymore. You have to get on the offense about your chat starts and about your conversations. And back to point number 3, you got to be tracking them. Now you got to be starting more of them. Thing number 4 is you're not starting enough conversations manually and you're not on the offense. Lastly, and if you've been getting value from this so far, I would love for you to take a screenshot of the podcast player on your phone, post it to your story, and tag me at WhatUpJeremy so that I can share the love back, post you on my story, and so that other coaches can also see the wins that you as coaches are having. That helps me reach more coaches and helps the algorithm a whole ton as well. Thing number 5, whether you're aware of it or not, The path for becoming and being a successful online coach has already been laid out. And anyone talking about it is just remixing it and remastering it in their own way. But what you need to know is that it's already been figured out. And what it comes down to, every coach you know who has their own formula for their own method, even if it goes against mine, even if they're telling you to start with paid ads and I'm over here saying don't do paid ads until 30K, no matter what, with their framework or with mine or with anyone else's, it's about doing the right things in the right order at the right time and for enough time. Going further, after you do them for enough time, you start to create systems to where those things happen on their own. And now you can get onto bigger, more important things by asking yourself the most important question, which is, what one thing can I do right now that by doing makes everything else easier or unnecessary? The answer to that, for the overwhelming majority of you, is to get around someone, a coach or a mentor, who's been there and done that. Right now, because you don't know the sequence of events and because you're only looking at my business or other coaches through a peephole and not able to see the full picture, it's causing you to go out of order. When you go out of order, you might get some results initially. You try what I'm doing and you might get some leads in, but have fun turning them into clients. You might get a client or two in, but have fun keeping them. You might have some clients right now, but you're not taking the right steps to double that client roster, to double that client base, and to take you to new heights, to new levels, and to new pools where there's fresh people, where your authority can instantly work for you and grow. A lot of you want for these things to happen, but you're doing things out of order. You're doing things out of order because you don't have a coach and you don't have a mentor who's looking under the hood of your online business and under the hood of your life to understand what things you're doing or not doing, or what beliefs you have that need to be eradicated and what new beliefs need to be installed to actually unlock you from where you're at. It's just so hard to see the forest for the trees because you're so close to your online business. And like even in mine, I have paid multiple six figures over these last 10 years in my self-development to be largely told I'm doing things wrong and to have to go and do it the hard way. But without all of that, I would be so much worse off without those lessons, that valuable constructive criticism, and from being told the hard way and paying a lot to be told the hard way, I wouldn't have been able to get to where I'm at now. And so for you, it's a matter of getting into the right coaching program so that you can start doing things in order and to have an order at all. The issue is that you wake up confused and unclear about where your next client's coming from, about where your next dollar is coming from. And when you're in that mode, it's very easy to get lost, to get dejected, or to start chasing shiny objects. And all of those things will cause, and all of those things, one second. And all of those things will cause for you to waste precious time, to lose a lot of precious money, and end up in a downward spiral. So it's important that you find the right mentor that has the right plan, and that you get around something more than an online course and YouTube videos and podcasts, because those are enough to start you off, but they're not enough to keep you going and to actually blast you off and to get you to where you want to be. And when you invest in yourself, there's something crazy that happens in the universe that will start to create a chain of events where you magically find yourself in organic conversations with real people that have real money and that want to talk to you about you helping them to navigate through it. And when that's happening on a daily basis, you have the recipe for a 15K week, let alone a 15K month. In the next episode of Client by Client, we're going to talk about authority and how to build your authority as an online coach, even if your brand spanking new. I know 95% of you are existing coaches, been doing this for at least a year to 3. I want to talk about authority from a fresh perspective, give you some reminders and then some tips for how to take it further. So be sure to come in tomorrow and check in for that episode. Whenever you are ready, here are a few ways I can help you grow your online business. First, get your free copy of GetBookedCRM. Coaches, are you still managing your leads and pipeline from Instagram, DM, Facebook Messenger, and your email inbox? Well, you're losing leads in the cracks and you're leaving a lot of money on the table. That's why I created GetBookedCRM. My free CRM helps you get leads and turn them into clients in half the time, and it's 100% free at the time of this recording. To get your copy now, all you have to do is drop me the letters CRM on Instagram or wherever you're getting this show. Second, join my free group for online coaches. I've got almost 1,000 online coaches from all over the world. There are a couple steps ahead of you at the exact same stage that you're at, or maybe a few baby steps behind where you're at right now. But all ships rise in a high tide. So it's a place for you to get shoulder to shoulder around them, around me, and access to weekly trainings and resources that I don't, and around dozens of weekly trainings and resources that I don't allow access to anywhere else. All you have to do is find me on Instagram and drop me the word group. Lastly, become my next success story. I'm getting a couple coaches together this month to implement my methods and strategies for injecting a minimum of 15K worth of new coaching clients or doubling your online client roster over the next 30, 60, 90 days. But finding the right people is important to me. So only respond to this if you are a relationship-focused coach who always puts a person ahead of the money, you've been coaching for at least 1 year, or you're not brand new, you'd like to get 3 to 5 clients every month organically from social media without wasting money or time on paid ads, you have at least 300 friends on a social media platform, group, or email list, you are willing to take bold action because you know that your success depends upon it. And last but not least, probably most important, you can keep a secret. If that's you, I want you to grab your phone right now, tap on Instagram and search @WhatUpJeremy. You'll see my smiling face, and I want you to send me a message with the words case study. When you do that, I'll ask you a couple questions about your online business, your visions, and your goals for the future. I'll share with you what we have coming up this month in the Get Clients program and how we're already helping students with this in the program, like Juan, who is set up to have a 60K month in August, and the other small wins along the way, like Henry, who got 8K worth of clients in his first 30 days. All you have to do is message me the words, and we'll identify what part of the program will likely have the highest impact on your business the soonest. All you have to do is message me the words case study over on Instagram to get all the details and information. That's it for this episode of Client by Client. See you in the next one. Cheers. Woo! I could not talk towards the end of that. Thank you for sticking with me. Jesus, I appreciate your love here, bro. Thank you guys for the thumbs up and the likes. If you made it all the way through to the end, drop Thursday in all caps. That way I know that'll be my signal. And wishing you a great rest of the day. See you guys back tomorrow. Cheers.